Late last night, Colombia was hit by its largest earthquake of the 21st century. The tremor, centered in the remote Chocó province, triggered immediate and catastrophic structural failures. Entire multi-story complexes were reduced to fragments. Initial reports confirm 111 casualties, a number expected to rise as recovery continues, with over 1,600 buildings heavily damaged or destroyed across several major cities. This diagram compares the baseline energy of a standard 6.4 magnitude earthquake against this 7.4 event. The scale is logarithmic. A single point increase represents an exponential surge in power. The 7.4 rating marks a release of 32 times more destructive energy. That massive volume of mechanical energy propagated outward through the crust, sending intense shockwaves powerful enough to rattle infrastructure and trigger alerts in neighboring countries like Ecuador and Panama. A release of this magnitude forces a physical load onto local infrastructure that many standard building codes aren't designed to withstand. At this level of energy, survival is largely dictated by the immediate physics of the shockwave hitting the concrete. Colombia has a brutal history with this level of destruction. 158 years ago, an earthquake in this same region resulted in over 70,000 fatalities. The volatility is a regional constant. Neighboring Venezuela recently suffered highly destructive back-to-back tremors, illustrating the instability of the northern South American tier. This systemic volatility is the surface-level result of a massive geological engine grinding miles beneath the South American crust. The driver of this disaster operates on a continental scale. South America sits directly on top of a massive tectonic collision zone. This cross-section illustrates a convergent plate boundary. The heavy oceanic Nazca Plate slides beneath the continental South American plate, building immense friction. It's the same process occurring where the Indian Plate crashing into the Eurasian Plate, forcing the ground upward to create the Himalayas. Back in South America, millions of years of this violent upward pressure formed the entire Andes mountain range. The majestic peaks of the Andes are a physical byproduct of the same geological engine that routinely destroys the cities built upon them. Despite that massive release of energy, the casualty numbers in this latest quake remained significantly lower than the historical precedents. The saving variable was depth. The tectonic slip that triggered this earthquake occurred over 100 kilometers deep within the Earth's crust. This dual-layered graphic compares the blast radius of a 100-kilometer deep epicenter versus a shallow 10-kilometer epicenter. If this exact 7.4 magnitude release had happened near the surface, the localized destruction would have been absolute. The extreme depth gave the seismic waves 100 kilometers of solid rock to travel through, absorbing much of their intensity. But the residual energy was still enough to overwhelm older, unreinforced buildings. Depth dictated the survival of the wider region, while ground-level survival depended entirely on the age and quality of the local engineering. On the surface, the government has declared a national emergency and mobilized specialized rescue teams, but they face a bitter geographic irony. The Andes Mountains, created by the very tectonic subduction that caused the quake, are now the primary obstacle to saving lives. The Chocó province is an unforgiving environment, characterized by high rainfall, dense forests, and historically poor transport connectivity. Now, the earthquake has severed those few existing routes. Bringing in heavy rescue equipment is nearly impossible, turning an already difficult region into a logistical nightmare for first responders. Geography acts as a double-edged sword, physically isolating the victims from help and compounding a natural disaster into a slow-motion human tragedy. The teams that do make it through face an invisible threat that is currently paralyzing rescue operations: compromised building integrity. Since the initial 7.4 tremor, the region has been struck by over 21 distinct aftershocks. These continuous tremors take a massive physical and psychological toll. Teams are forced to enter weakened structures to extract victims, knowing a minor aftershock could collapse the building entirely. The severity of this logistical trap has triggered an international response. Countries including the US and India are preparing to send specialized urban research and rescue teams to support the local efforts. The impact of this 7.4 tremor is defined by three overlapping forces: massive tectonic fury, brittle, aging infrastructure, and a punishing mountain geography that physically isolates the survivors from the rest of the world.